The people have spoken and you guys want me to review the classic Jeff the Killer story. This is probably a story people most think about when people hear the word creepypasta, besides from Slender Man, but he's probably either like the first or second person people think about. And I know, the thumbnail says not so bad, and that's probably raising a lot of eyebrows because most people would disagree with that notion, but just hear me out. Give me a chance on this, alright? We start off with a kid's story in the local newspaper of what happened when he was faced with an unknown killer. The kid explained he was sleeping in his room when he was woken up by a bad dream. The window was open and he closed it. Personally, I think the open window should have woken him up, but that's just me being a bit nitpicky there. The kid notices Jeff, the unknown killer, okay, we all know this is Jeff. It's literally in the title, Jeff the Killer, but that would have been an amazing plot twist if it wasn't, but we know it's him. Jeff rushes the kid and says the catchy phrase it seems like every creepypasta has, "Go to sleep," and basically tries to stab the kid. Unfortunately for Jeff, the kid's father runs into the room, but Jeff, having some type of throwing knife ability, throws it right into the father's shoulder and gets the heck out of there. Jeff gets away and that's how the story starts. Honestly, I'm not too against the starting of the story, but my main problem is we never came back to this. Usually when writers have news articles talking about murder, this could be a good way of explaining whether the murderer in question is sloppy, cunning, smart, idiotic, who knows? Or to even explain what time period we are in. I just feel like the news part about Jeff's sloppiness is already covered in the rest of the story, leaving this part not needed, nor does it add anything relevant to the story. You could make the argument that this is to get the reader interested in the story, but that's no excuse not to come back to this. Now we actually get to where the story starts. Jeff and his family move to a new neighborhood since his dad got a promotion. They are greeted by their new neighbor, Barbara, who invites them over to a birthday party. Now, I want to read this scene out to you because I actually believe it's well done. "Mom, why would you invite us to some kid's party? If you haven't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid." "Jeff," said his mother, "we just moved here and we should show that we want to spend time with our neighbors. Now we're going to that party, and that's final." Jeff started to talk but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whenever his mom said something, it was final. He walked up to his room and plopped down on his bed. He sat there looking at the ceiling when suddenly he got this weird feeling. Not so much a pain, but a weird feeling. He dismissed it as some random feeling. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff and he walked down to get it. Frankly, I do like this part. We can all relate to wanting to grow up and not being treated as a kid even if we still are one. You know, when you think you know everything and then you realize, oh man, taxes? Oh no. Also, your mom and dad making you hang out with people you don't want to is so relatable. It's like when they would force you to go to church and you're like, man, I said I wanted church's chicken, not church. In this one scene, the author has successfully built rapport with the reader and shown us where Jeff is emotionally. Also was able to communicate that his household is strict and usually is not listened to by writing. Whenever his mom said something, it was final. Of course, I still have a problem and I'm sure you know what it is. When Jeff gets his quote-unquote weird feeling, I feel there's a better way to express this. Remember in my clockwork video, I kept saying show, don't tell? Show us he feels off. Like, show us something of substance. I also just don't think this was the right time and place for this scene. It feels like it just comes out of nowhere unless he was like getting sick or something, but that's just not the case. We're on to the next day and Jeff and his brother Lou is waiting for the school bus, and of course we get the classic trope of the school bullies. We get introduced to the three antagonists, Randy the ringleader and Keith and Troy basically being the goons, the minions. They show up on their skateboards telling Jeff and Lou they need to pay the bus fare. Basically, you know, they're being robbed. Okay, I know the way these three boys speak annoy a lot of readers, but for me personally, it's just entertaining me. It's funny. Well, it looks like we got some new meat. Now, for all the kids in the neighborhood, there's a small price for bus fare, if you catch my drift. I don't have a problem with the way these characters speak, because it makes you remember these characters. For example, like Tasamaki for One Punch Man, you immediately think about her bratty behavior and hello. I'm sure we remember pretending to be like a hardened criminal or like some type of war hero with this cool, awesome, but traumatizing backstory. This reminds me of what these kids are doing. They're trying to act cool and have cheesy lines. Now we move on to the fighting scene where Randy takes Lou's wallet, and Jeff is not happy about that at all. And all my viewers know I love a good action scene, so let's go ahead and read this out. Listen here, you little punk. Give back my bro's wallet or else. Randy puts the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife. Oh, and what will you do? Just as he finished the sentence, Jeff popped the kid in the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife and fell to the ground screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy straight in the stomach and Troy went down. As he fell, he puked all over. Lou could do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff. I'll be honest, if any of my relatives ever did that, I'd be amazed myself. I'd be like, are we in a John Wick movie? What the hell just happened? Can you teach me that? Now, I do have my problems with this scene. Most people can't take on one person, let alone 3, and Jeff being 13 here, yeah, that's just not happening. Try to keep it one-on-one or a group versus a group, and if you do 1 versus 2, make sure you show, like, the other person has some type of experience. Hype them up a bit. Also, grabbing a kid's wrist and breaking it, yeah, that's just not happening. Now, if Jeff picked up the kid and then slammed him on the ground, that's more likely to end up with like a fractured wrist. Even then, the kid's going to have to land at a certain angle for that to happen. Now, as for punching somebody in the stomach and causing them to throw up, not uncommon at all. Happens a lot, surprisingly. The bus arrives, causing Jeff and Lou to take off, and for some reason, they still go to school. I get the running away part, especially for teenagers, but still, going to school is the weird part when you think about it. I just feel like they would have ran home and not ran to school, but they might be in the mindset of, if we act normal, they won't suspect us. I don't know, that part's just really iffy for me, and it's like somebody got stabbed, so this isn't something really you can play off. And the second the bullies started talking, they would have immediately been put out of class. But anyhow, they go on through the school day and nothing really happens except when Jeff's in his classroom and he starts to get that weird feeling again, like the same weird feeling he got in his bedroom. He starts to feel like conflicted about what happened and about feeling happy about it, happy that he was able to take them down, which is a very understandable feeling. You protected yourself and your younger brother but still hurt people in the process, even if it is justified. There is nothing strange about it. What I'm trying to say is this little strange feeling he's getting, it's not strange at all. It's very justifiable, very understandable, and most people would feel this way. Nothing happens at school and we switch on to the next day where Jeff finds his mom talking to 2 police officers. Jeff, these officers tell me that you attacked 3 kids, and it wasn't regular fighting. That they were stabbed, son. Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Lou. Son, said one of the cops, we found 3 kids, 2 stabbed, 1 having a bruise on his stomach, and we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene. Now, what does that tell us? Jeff knew it was no use. He could say him and Lou had been attacked, but then there was no proof it was not them who attacked first. They couldn't say that they weren't fleeing because, truth to be told, they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself or Lou. Son, call down your brother. Jeff couldn't do it since it was he who beat up all the kids. Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up the kids. Lou tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me. The cop looked at his partner, and they both nod. Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie. Again, I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but there are several problems with this. Let's reread a line. He could say he and Lou had been attacked, but then there was no proof it was not them who attacked first. Okay, but the reverse is true as well. There's no proof that Jeff and Lou attacked first. And the cops only know there was a scuffle and 2 people took off. That's all they know. Plus, those knives used in the fight only belonged to the 3 boys. They had to get those knives from somewhere. Maybe they purchased it or got it off from a relative. One could argue that Jeff owned the knives, however, Jeff only touched one of the knives, and not the other two, meaning fingerprints. You can claim Jeff owned one of the knives, but you can't claim that he owned all of them. I can keep going with this, but I'm pretty sure you understand what I'm saying. And by the way, a year in juvie? That is not how that works at all. In America, every citizen has a right to a fair trial. You're not going to immediately get sentenced like that, and the cops have no right to do that either. Since there is proof of violence, especially in the case of stabbing, I wouldn't be surprised if they took Jeff away or something along those lines, but they just simply would not get a sentence that quickly. Lou comes into the scene claiming he did it, and Jeff kept saying no, he was the one that did it, and for whatever reason, the cop took Lou's side? Like, I don't understand why they believed Lou over Jeff, especially Lou being the younger brother. And the mom's just standing there letting this happen, just watching, being like, oh, okay, you're in juvie, sounds good. Nothing wrong with this at all. Jeff cried himself to sleep, and then the next day, Jeff's mom woke him up and said they had to go to that freaking birthday party. Yep, you heard correctly. After everything that just happened, she expects Jeff to still attend. Let me make this clear. This isn't some type of political party where things are at stake and you cannot miss this. This is just some random kid's birthday party across the street. Jeff goes to the neighbor house and ends up playing with the kids in the backyards, and these mutton heads, to put it nicely, have decided they're going to come back for round 2 to face Jeff, not learning their lesson from the first time. I also want to point out how these 3 boys got into the birthday party. They jumped over a fence with their skateboards, and most fences are about 6 feet tall, and these kids, didn't these kids get stabbed and one with a broken wrist just 2 days ago? They should not be here. We have another action scene, and instead of keeping my opinion to the very end, I'm gonna go ahead and comment on it while I'm reading. "Hello, Jeff, is it?" he said. "We have some unfinished business." Jeff saw his bruised nose. "I think we're even. I beat the crap out of you and you get my brother sent to JDC. Honestly, I can see both sides of this. One might be doing this for revenge and started it, but I still understand why he wants the revenge, especially for the broken wrist part, because that is not a minor injury at all. I would have changed this part to where Jeff goes and seeks revenge on these 3 mutton heads over, he ends up going to the hospital. I think that would have made this a lot more interesting. Randy got an angry look in his eyes. "Oh no, I don't go for even, I go for winning. You may have kicked our asses that one day, but not today." As he said that, Randy rushed at Jeff. They both fell to the ground. Randy punched Jeff in the nose, and Jeff grabbed him by the ears and headbutted him. Jeff pushed Randy off of him, and both rose to their feet. Kids were screaming and parents were running out of the house. Troy and Keith both pulled guns out of their pockets. "No one interrupts or guts will fly," they said. Randy pulled a knife on Jeff and stabbed it into his shoulder. I don't care what any of you guys say, the way these kids talk, it's just funny to me. And why do they all have guns and knives? Where are they getting these weapons from? Does everybody have a knife these days or some type of gun? And this does take place in America. Well, you know what? Let's not go down that route. Let's not start a controversy in the comments. Jeff screamed and fell to his knees. Randy started kicking him in the face. After 3 kicks, Jeff grabs his foot and twisted, causing Randy to fall to the ground. Jeff stood up, walked towards the back door. Troy grabbed him. "Need some help?" He picks Jeff up by the back of the collar and throws him through the patio door. As Jeff tries to stand, he is kicked down to the ground. Randy repeatedly starts kicking Jeff until he starts to cough up blood. "Come on, Jeff, fight me!" He picks Jeff up and throws him into the kitchen. Randy sees a bottle of vodka on the counter and smashes the glass over Jeff's head. "Fight!" He throws Jeff back into the living room. Oh, how I love a good action scene, but Jeff should 100% be knocked out by now. He should not be in the fight. Just some advice. When it comes to punches and bottles and stuff like that, make your character, roll with the impact, so he's not taking, the full blunt of the impact, if that makes sense. I gotta stop saying if that makes sense. Like, let him roll with it so it's not that effective. Come on, Jeff, look at me. Jeff glances up, his face riddled with blood. I was the one who got your brother sent to JDC, and now you're just gonna sit here and let him rot in there? For a whole year? You should be ashamed. Jeff started to get up. Oh, finally, you stand and fight. Jeff is now to his feet, blood and vodka on his face. Once again, he gets that strange feeling, the one in which he hasn't felt in a while. Didn't you just like feel that just a day ago? Finally, he's up, says Randy as he runs at Jeff. That's when it happens. Something inside Jeff snaps. His psyche is destroyed. All rational thinking is gone. All he can do is kill. He grabbed Randy and pile-drived him to the ground, gets on top of him and punched him straight in the heart. The punch causes Randy's heart to stop as Randy gasps for breath. Jeff hammers down on him, punch after punch. Blood gushes from Randy's body until he takes one final breath and dies. Psyche destroyed is a bit dramatic, but for all rational thinking, I get it. In this situation, I would be a charging bull in a china shop. Causing Randy's heart to stop, yeah, again, it's just not happening. You have to be more creative than that. For example, maybe Jeff shoved Randy really hard and he falls to the ground and hits his head, knocking him out or even killing him. See, a lot of the time, it's not the strike that kills the person. It's the landing. Randy is dead, 2 more to go. Everyone is looking at Jeff now. The parents, the crying kids, even Troy and Keith. Well, of course they're looking at him. Although they easily break their gaze and point their guns at Jeff. Jeff sees the guns trained on him and runs for the stairs. As he runs, Troy and Keith let out fire on him, each shot missing. Jeff runs up the stairs. He hears Troy and Keith follow up behind him. As they let out their final rounds of bullets, Jeff ducks into the bathroom. He grabs a towel rack and rips it out of the wall. Troy and Keith race in, knives ready. Why are the parents just standing there? Okay, I understand that the 2 12-year-olds have guns, but you're telling me not one of these parents have one of their own? I would have put a hole in between their eyes by now. I can accept Keith and Troy not being able to shoot Jeff since they're 12, but I feel as if a parent should have done something by now. I'm telling you, one of the parents should have just came up behind and delivered the grand slam. Troy swings his knife at Jeff, who backs away and bangs the towel rack into Troy's face. Troy goes down hard, and now all that's left is Keith. He is more agile than Troy though, and ducks when Jeff swings the towel rack. He dropped the knife and grabbed Jeff by the neck. He pushed him into the wall. A thing of bleach fell down on top of him from the top shelf. It burnt both of them, and they both started to scream. Jeff wiped his eyes as best as he could. He pulled back the towel rack and swung it straight into Keith's head. As he lay there, bleeding to death, he let out a ominous smile. Oh, we all know what's about to happen. Light it up, boys. What's so funny? Asked Jeff. Keith pulled out a lighter and switched it on. What's funny? He said. Is that you're covered in bleach and alcohol. Jeff's eyes widened as Keith threw the lighter at him. As soon as the flame made contact with him, the flames ignited the alcohol in the vodka. Okay, that's a weird way to put it. While the alcohol burned him, the bleach bleached his skin. Jeff let out a terrible screech as he caught on fire. He tried to roll out the fire, but it was no use. The alcohol had made him a walking inferno. He ran down the hall and fell down the stairs. Everybody started screaming as they saw Jeff, now a man on fire, drop to the ground, nearly dead. The last thing Jeff saw was his mother and the other parents trying to extinguish the flame. That's when he passed out. If I for whatever reason was lit on fire like Jeff was, I would use every ounce of my strength to hug the person that set me on fire. I'm gonna give this person the biggest bear hug that their mother failed to give them. We burned together. When Jeff woke up, he had a cast wrapped around his face. He couldn't see anything, but he felt a cast on his shoulder and stitches all over his body. He tried to stand up, but he realized that there was some tube in his arm, and when he tried to get up, it fell out, and a nurse rushed in. "I don't think you can get out of bed just yet," she said as she put him back in his bed and reinserted the tube. Jeff sat there with no vision, no idea of what his surroundings were. Finally, after hours, he heard his mother. Okay, that is a horrifying situation to be in. I mean, it's probably really suffocating, and I can only imagine how itchy you are all over, and you still wouldn't even be able to scratch it. Nah, man, I can't. And you don't even know your surroundings? That's rough. Like, that's really rough. If you want to talk about horror, the situation Jeff's in the medical bed, yeah, that's terrifying. And his mom only showed up after a few hours. I don't know about my viewers. Maybe you guys have kids or maybe like that one special pet. But I'm sure most of us, the second we hear that our kid is awake and responsive, immediately go to the hospital within the hour. "Honey, are you okay?" she asked. Jeff couldn't answer though. His face was covered and it was unable to speak. "Oh, honey, I have great news. After all the witnesses told the police that Randy confessed of trying to attack you, they decided to let Lou go." This made Jeff almost bolt up, stopping halfway, remembering the tube coming out of his arm. "He'll be out by tomorrow, and then you two will be able to be together again." "Oh yeah, Mom, I'm fine. That's but a scratch. My nerves are totally not damaged for the rest of my life." Great they let Lou go even though he shouldn't have ended up there to begin with. I don't think that's important right now. This wasn't just an attack or an assault. This was full-blown attempted murder. Forget what happened at the beginning of the story. This is so much more serious. I'm like, what? This escalated so quickly. Jeff's mother hugs Jeff and says her goodbyes. The next couple of weeks were those where Jeff was visited by his family. Then came the day where his bandages were to be removed. His family members were all there to see it, what he would look like. As the doctors unwrapped the bandages from Jeff's face, everyone was on the edge of their seats. They waited until the last bandage holding the cover over his face was almost removed. How much you want to bet Jeff was screaming on the inside while his mom was hugging him, just going... He just got freaking tears streaming down his face, and she's like, "Oh, he's so happy I'm hugging him." Meanwhile, he's like, "Man, this bitch is killing me." Now we get to the big reveal, with his whole family watching. Not the best idea. "Let's hope for the best," said the doctor. He quickly pulls the cloth, letting the rest fall off Jeff's face. Okay, if any trained professional ever said, "let's hope for the best," I'd be very concerned. Jeff's mother screams at the sight of his face. Lou and Jeff's dad stare awestruck at his face. And this is why, folks, you don't do surprise face reveals to your whole entire family, especially involving Miss Classic Horror Scream over here. As if going through it the first time when you were born wasn't bad enough. What happened to my face?" Jeff said. He rushed out of bed and ran to the bathroom. He looked in the mirror and saw the cause of the distress. His face, it's horrible. His lips were burnt to a deep shade of red. His face was turned into a pure white color, and his hair was singed from brown to black. He slowly put his hand to his face. It had sort of leathery... Okay, am I not saying this right? It had a sort of leathery feel to it now. He looked back at his family, then back at the mirror. "Jeff," said Lou, it's not that bad." "Not that bad?" Jeff said. "It's perfect!" His family was equally surprised. He started laughing uncontrollably. His parents noticed that his left eye and hand were twitching. Jeff, are you okay?" "What do you mean, is he okay? His skin was bleached white and his lips are red. He could be the Joker's son at this rate. Also, he should have not any hair. Like, no hair at all. It should not be burnt black. That's not how that works. He won't look like some anime hot dude. He'll look like this. This right here. Now I have to do my best psycho laugh, and I hope you guys know I do this for you. For you! Okay. I've never felt more happy. Look at me. My face goes perfectly with me. He couldn't stop laughing. He stroked his face, feeling it, looking at it in the mirror. What caused this? Well, you may recall that when Jeff was fighting Randy, something in his mind, his sanity, snapped. Now he was left as a crazy killing machine that his parents didn't know. Okay, you don't have to remind us. It's pretty clear to the reader why he snapped. You also don't need to tell us that he's a killing machine and his parents don't know. It's quite obvious. Just go ahead and just show us and let the story play out. Doctor, said Jeff's mom, is my son alright? You know, in the head? He's not, and the doctor will tell you that. Oh yes, his behavior is typical for patients that have taken very large amounts of painkillers. If his behavior doesn't change in a few weeks, bring him back here and we'll give him a psychological test. Oh, thank you, doctor. Jeff's mom went over to Jeff. Jeff, sweetie, it's time to go. Jeff looks away from the mirror, his face still formed into a crazed smile. Okay, mommy. His mother took him by the shoulder and took him to get his clothes. Well, I'll be a pig that could fly. This is what came in, said the lady at the desk. Jeff's mom looked down to see the black dress, pants, and white hoodie her son wore. Now they were clean of blood and now stitched together. Jeff's mom led him to his room and made him put his clothes on. Then they left, not knowing that this was their final day of life. So you're going to give your son the exact same clothes he got burnt in like a rotisserie chicken, and you see nothing wrong with this? No way it would trigger his PTSD at all? No need to hold the reader's hand as well. We know they're going to die. Just let the reader figure that out for themselves. Actually, we don't know if they're going to die. Who knows? It could have been a plot twist. But let the reader squirm in their seats. Let the dread build in. Now we get to the part where Jeff is doing his best cosplay of Joker. I'm sorry. I already made that joke. He's doing his best cosplay at a kid's first attempt at Halloween pumpkin you see on people's doorsteps. Later that night, Jeff's mother woke up to a sound coming from the bathroom. It sounded as if someone was crying. She slowly walked over to see what it was. When she looked into the bathroom, she saw a horrendous sight. Jeff had taken a knife and carved a smile into his cheeks. Jeff? What are you doing? Asked his mother. Jeff looked over to his mother. I couldn't keep smiling, Mommy. It hurt after a while. Now I can smile forever. Jeff's mother noticed his eyes ringed in black. Jeff, your eyes! His eyes were seemingly never closing. I couldn't see my face. I got tired and my eyes started to close. I burnt out the eyelids so I could forever see myself. My new face! Jeff's mother slowly started to back away, seeing her son was going insane. What's wrong, Mommy? Aren't I beautiful? Yes, son, she said. Yes, you are. Let me go get Daddy so he can see your face. She ran into the room and shook Jeff's dad from his sleep. Honey, get the gun. She stopped as she saw Jeff in the doorway holding a knife. Mommy, you lied. That's the last thing they hear as Jeff rushes them with the knife, gutting both of them. His brother Lou woke up, startled by some noise. He didn't hear anything else, so he just shut his eyes and tried to go back to sleep. As he was on the border of slumber, he got the strangest feeling that someone was watching him. He looked up before Jeff's hand covered his mouth. He slowly raised the knife, ready to plunge it into Lou. Lou thrashed here and there, trying to escape Jeff's grip. Shh, Jeff said. Just go to sleep. That's it? No burning down of the house? Well, would you look at that? So we made it to the end of the story, and honestly, I liked it. This was an enjoyable read. Don't get me wrong, it had its problems. For example, Jeff being too strong for only being 13, and it's never explained. Also, in the beginning, with it saying it's an unknown killer, I don't agree with. I feel like to the police, it would be pretty obvious who the killer was, seeing how reckless Jeff is. Still, I enjoyed it, and I do recommend you guys read it for yourself. I'm honestly so tempted to rewrite the story, but I know it's going to take so much work, so maybe an animatic. It has so much potential, and that's probably one of the reasons why it's so popular. I'm sure you guys have seen like a book or a TV series that has so much potential, and you see it like fall flat on its face. Had the right ideas or good dialogue, it's just not the best execution. I'm so tempted to throw my hat into the ring, but I don't know. I have to think about it. I know there's been rewrites of the story before, and I'm tempted. I want to hear your guys' opinion. Should I give a valid attempt on trying to rewrite this story? Should I throw my hat into the ring or leave it be? Let me know if there's like any horror or creepypasta stories you recommend. I know somebody recommended Kate the Chaser, and somebody else said Happy Appy. I looked up Happy Appy, and I don't know about that. He giving me a weird look. He giving me a vibe, and I'm like, I don't know about him. I also want to review webtoons, so if you guys could recommend any, that would be great, because I don't know anything about webtoon. I don't know any webtoons. I know nothing. Before I sign off, I thought about it. I will do a Jeff the Killer animatic if you guys get me to 200 subscribers. I know that sounds like a lot, but there are 44 of you guys already, so you guys only need 156. If each of you get 4 people to subscribe, you would be at 176, reaching the goal. I know it's a big number, but animatics take a long time, and honestly, I'm curious to see if you guys will reach the goal. On a side note, I am currently working on another animatic, so that one will come before the Jeff one. And I wanted to apologize for being away for so long. It's been over a year, and there's no excuse, but I'm back now, and I don't plan on going anywhere. Follow me on Instagram to see my art, and I do post poses, and I don't mind you guys using the poses or drawing over for practice. Keyword, practice. But again, thank you guys for watching all the way through, and I hope you guys have an amazing night or day, who knows, wherever you are in the world. This is Scarlet Plague signing off. Toodles!